video will be a quick review of radicals and how we approach those in class. So the terminology here, a lot easier just to see where they go. The number that's underneath the radical sign, that's what's called the radicand. And then the index is the number that's on the outside. Now, if there is no index, remember, that's probably what we're most familiar with. We call it the square root, which means the index is actually 2. So we know this is something pretty familiar to us. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of x squared, pretty familiar with this, so that'd just be x. The square root of x to the 6th. This is where we just say, we're dividing that 6 by that 2. And then finally, this is where it might start to be a little bit different. X to the 4th, y to the 6th. Well, one way to kind of think about this, which we've been talking about, is almost like a prison break. And the idea with the prison break is the index gives you the number to break out. So in other words, so for this particular problem, x to the 4th, y to the 6th, if we expanded this all the way out, we'd end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 x's, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 y's. Now, the index here is 2, which means that in order to break out of prison, they must break out in pairs. So you can see both the x's, all of the x's, have a partner. And we start pairing the y's up, and they all have a partner. Well, here's the idea: as they break out of jail, it's morbid, but only one person will ever make it out of jail. Which means in this particular case, when two groups of x's make a break for it, only 2 of the individuals will get out. Unfortunately, 2 of them get shot. Here, 3 groups of y's make a break for it, which means 3 guys get shot, 3 get out. And now you can see everybody that was in jail had a partner to go with, which means there's nobody left behind. So we kind of start looking through this thing. If you see numbers in it, a great thing to do is we can break those numbers down, 4 and 4. So we think about this. 4 now has a partner to make a break to get out of jail. You also have 2 x's and 4 y's. So we start thinking about what's happening here, kind of start buddying these guys up. Both the 4's can make a break for it. Well, unfortunately, only one will survive. Both the x's can make a break for it. Only one survives. There's a set of y's that go. There's a set of y's that go. So 2 y's will end up surviving. Unfortunately, 2 don't make it out. Right? Break these things down first. So 81, that's 9 times 9. And we could break it up further. However, we already know that 9 has a buddy to make a break for it. So we leave it alone. There's 3 x's and there's 5 y's. So put them back in prison. So the 9's have a buddy to make a break for it. So there go the 9's. 1 gets out, 1 doesn't. This time there's 3 x's, so one of them actually doesn't have a buddy. So one of the x's is going to get out. Unfortunately, there's 1 that's left behind. Now let's think about the y's. There are 2 groups that make a break for it, which means 2 guys get out, 2 guys disappear. But this time, you can see there's an x and a y that got left behind in jail because they didn't have a partner to make a break for it. Now, just to kind of look at it in a little bit different light, now all of a sudden the index can change. So what this tells me, when there's a 3 there, when there's a 4 there, that tells you how big the group has to be for somebody to break out of jail. So this time we need groups of 3 if you look in part C. So the first thing to do is start breaking 54 down. So 54 is 2 and 27. Well, there's no group of 3, so keep breaking it down. This is 9 times 3, and this is 3 times 3. So really, we have 2, 3, 3, 3, and then you've got x to the 6th, y to the 11th. If we think for just a moment, you can see 2 doesn't have enough, he doesn't have any buddies to make a break for it, but 3, there are 3 of those. All 3 make a break. Unfortunately for the 3's, only 1 will make it out. If you look at the x's, there are 6 x's, and they have to break out in groups of 3, which means there are 2 groups of 3 in there, which means by the time they all make a break for it, a lot of guys get shot, 2 get out. Unfortunately, there are no x's remaining in jail, so all the x's made a break for it, only 2 end up escaping. And now you think about why. if you want to think about it this way, there are 11 y's. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. And when they start grouping up and they're groups of 3, there's one group that can make a break. There's one group that can make a break. There's one group that can make a break. And unfortunately for the last 2 guys, they needed one more guy in order to make a break. So if you want to think about it this way, 2 of the Y's got left in jail. 3 groups made a break for it, right? 1, 2, 3. But unfortunately, only 3 guys can get out. Also, if you look back, that 2 was left behind, so we'll squeeze him in there as well. So there's this simplified version of this particular one. The 64, right? If you break that down, that's 8 times 8. Well, unfortunately, not enough. We need groups of 4 this time. So we have 4 and 2, 4 and 2. So there's a pair of 4s, there's a pair of 2s. Still not enough. There's 2s. And so now all of a sudden, is there a group of 4 2s? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, which means there are 2 left behind. So if you want to look at it this way, 2 of the 2s get left out. These 4 2s make a break for it. It's a rough situation, but 4 will make a break for it. Only 1 will get out. If you think about x to the 6th, well, if a group of 4 can go, that means one group can make a break for it. It means 1x can get out, and the other 2 get left in jail. In a group of 11, there are 2 groups of y's. So 2 guys will get out. And you think about it, that was 8 y's that made a break for it, which leaves 3 behind. And now I'm going to make one more adjustment to this particular problem. And this 2 times 2 on the inside, I'm actually going to go ahead and combine those to be 4. Okay. So I'll do a couple other quick problems just from this practice that's below. Kind of pick and choose. So square root of 243. We don't know what 243 is. That's not one of our perfect squares. So I'll do a quick breakdown. 243 divided by 3. That's 81 times 3. We need them to be in partners. This is a square root. Well, that's 9 times 9 times 3, which means now all of a sudden I could continue to break this down further, but all of a sudden 9's got a buddy to make a break with it. Unfortunately for 3, he doesn't have anyone to go with. Oh, excuse me. So that 3 is going to stay in jail, but the 9's made a break for it, and 1 got out. All right? Let's do the 4th root of 96. So 96, we can divide by 4. That's 4 times 24. Again, we need 4 of something. So let's keep breaking this down. That's 2 times 2. This is 6 times 4. Still don't have enough. There's 3 and 2. 2 and 2. Now all of a sudden, so if we want to think about it this way, we can break this thing all the way down. We have a 2 times 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. A lot of 2's. We need a group of 4, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. They can make a break for it. Unfortunately for that 3 and that 2, they're stuck in jail. Again, so that group of 4 2's makes a break for it. A lot of carnage out there, folks. Only one guy gets out, and what's left behind is a 3 and a 2. Well, take a moment, and again, we can put those 2 together, and that 3 times 2 is actually 6. So this is 2. Oh, and don't forget that little 4 outside of the radical. Right? One that we might try here, the 40. Let's go over here to 9. All of a sudden you see you got that 3 on the outside. Well, that'll come into play here in just a minute. So let's break 56 down. 56 is 7 times 8. And then we got 4 times 2, 2 times 2. So here we go. Now all of a sudden, if you look at the index, that kind of tells you the level of security in this prison. We got to have a group of 3. Well, sure enough, there are 3 2's, which means 3's already on the outside. So 2 makes a break for it. Out of the 6's, well, all 6 can make a break for it. Unfortunately, only 2 will get out. And then the 3's, there are 3 Z's. We need a group of 3, which means 1 will get out. So there's the initial answer. But again, we have this 3 times 2, which means we should clean that up, and it'll be 6y squared z. That's the answer. Our final answer. Oh, excuse me. We do want to clean this up, but I just made a mistake in that somebody was left in prison. So you have the 6 there. So 7 didn't have a buddy to make a break for it with. So 7's still in prison. So 6y squared z, and then you have that little 3, so called the third root of 7.